Is that on?
Yeah.
You just have to have it up close.
All right. Now we're going into our next part of this program. This is a program on sustainable food and agriculture. Healthy people, healthy earth, part of our commitment to creation care. The Episcopal covenant to care of creation was developed over the last number of conventions. And they developed a whole work plans and ideas and liturgies around the care of creation, stemming from the idea that in Jesus, God so loved the whole world that we follow Jesus, so we love the world that God loves. We're concerned about global climate emergency. We commit to form and restore loving, liberating, life-giving relationships with all of creation. And has many different aspects, such as clean water, which is our presentation from Captains for Clean Water last time. Some other parts we're dealing with today: sustainable agriculture and food production, justice and care for farm workers. Now, I'm going to irritate at least half the people here. And we are familiar with controversial food policy pronouncements in the Holy Bible. We are excellent at controversial food pronouncements. One of my favorite parts of the Holy Thursday service is when we are told exactly how to cook the lamb, which I personally agree with, but some people don't even think eating meat is right. But this is controversial food pronouncements we are familiar with, so the first two clips I'm going to show you will, of course, be controversial, and I hope not to get into too much trouble, but this is the All Are Welcome Church, so I think that will be okay. This is something that started it out in 2009.
The way we eat has changed more in the last 50 years than in the previous 10,000. The modern supermarket has on average 47,000 products.
The industry doesn't want you to know the truth about what you're eating, because if you knew, you might not want to eat it. We've never had food companies this powerful in our history.
Everything we've done in modern agriculture is to grow it faster, fatter, bigger, cheaper.
If you could grow a chicken in 49 days, why would you want one you got to grow in 3 months?
When you go through the supermarket, there is an illusion of diversity. So much of our industrial food turns out to be rearrangements of corn.
Sometimes you look at a vegetable and say, okay, well, we can get 2 hamburgers for the same price.
They have managed to make it against the law to criticize their products.
There is an effort to make it illegal to publish a photo of any industrial food operation.
I find it incredible that the FDA wants to allow the sale of meat from cloned animals without any labeling.
Peanut butter contaminated with salmonella.
E. coli has been found in spinach, apple juice.
Smells like money to me.
The average consumer does not feel very powerful. It's the exact opposite. When we run an item past the supermarket scanner, we're voting for local or not, organic or not.
Look at the tobacco industry. The battle against tobacco is a perfect model of how an industry's irresponsible behavior can be changed.
Imagine what it would be if, as a national policy, the idea would be to have such nutritionally dense food that people actually felt better, had more energy, and weren't sick as much. Now see, that's a noble goal.
People have got to start demanding good, wholesome food of us, and we'll deliver, I promise you.
That was 2009. This is going to be coming out tomorrow.
Over the last 2 decades, something called the food movement got started. But the food industry is dominated by a handful of very powerful companies. So there's a lot at stake when you sit down to eat. When the pandemic hit, the curtain was peeled back. There were whole crops being buried At the same time, there were shortages in the supermarket.
But that's not the only problem.
Working in the fields, our work is essential, but we as people were treated as disposable.
How could I go to work for these billion-dollar companies and feed all these people, all to come home to hear my son's stomach growl?
By fixing our food system, we will create health and well-being in every aspect of our lives.
I want rural America to be vibrant again. That's my motivation here. They're going to say, we're not going to let some big mouth senator from Montana stop us. And so, bring it on, guys.
Every one of our oysters filters 50 gallons of water a day, and our kelp soaks up 5 times more carbon than land-based plants.
This is solar-powered, electrically driven, on a programmable basis. You're dealing with a crowd that does not like change.
When you walk into a supermarket, there's a whole arsenal of additives designed to mislead the brain, actually interfering with the brain's and the body's ability to metabolize food.
I sure as heck don't want my tax dollars subsidizing the things that are making people sick.
Now, what are the proteins that you're producing?
That's something we can't talk about kind of right now.
I wanted to wake up in the morning believing what I was doing. This is wealth right here.
Programs like ours demonstrate the kind of policy change that we want to see.
This is our chance to chart a new course.
I want to see people living lives, not just fighting to survive.
Just imagine if the government decided to step in on the side of the consumer and the citizen.
We not only can do it, we have to.
Tomorrow. Luckily, right here in our community, we have a Christ-inspired solution to many of these problems. There are close to 1 billion people living in hunger or undernourished in the world today. Do we need factory farming in order to feed them? ECHO says, no, we don't. ECHO has a vision of honoring God by empowering the undernourished with sustainable hunger solutions. And it's right in our neighborhood.
For the farmers, we're grateful for those who are producing food.
Food is the foundation of all life, which is why it's so important to understand how to grow it yourself. Of course, living off the land is easier said than done. Maybe you've got a black thumb or your backyard doesn't get enough light or water. There are a lot of barriers to growing a lush green garden, but the people you're about to meet are making it easier.
This could be a lanai or a front porch or a back porch, even a small rooftop. Anywhere that you have available, you can grow food there.
That's why a farm in North Fort Myers is teaching people the skills to do it themselves. ECHO Global Farms off Durant's Road in North Fort Myers has an entire team dedicated to getting their hands dirty with different methods of growing. In tonight's cover story, ABC7 meteorologist Jesslyn Ferenc is getting in more on how they're inspiring the next generation of gardeners.
So ECHO exists to be an intermediary to help small-scale farmers and those that work with them to raise enough food to feed their families.
Hope against hunger. Those are the words to live by for ECHO Farms. Use what you have around you to grow what you need.
Many of us are just one generation away from a farming family, but that's plenty of time for that knowledge to get lost. And so if we start small and increase our knowledge, and knowledge as shared multiplies.
For more than 40 years, ECHO has helped hungry families and small-scale farmers learn farming practices right here in Southwest Florida and across the world.
We're ending world hunger, we're ending poverty, and the ways we can do that are through sustainable agricultural ecosystems.
Growing food can be easier or harder depending on where you are in the world.
The most difficult place to grow food would be where you don't have any soil or very small space, and so our urban garden demonstrates really a rooftop.
The people at ECHO take on some of those harsher growing situations, challenging themselves to find ways to maintain a flourishing garden that may go against the so-called normal growing techniques. One of their test labs is right here in the urban garden.
Often we're, competing against tradition, and the challenge is How can someone risk their whole livelihood, their whole annual income on a new technique? But if we can show that it's trusted, proven, then it's something that they maybe could try all around the world.
A lot of us live in condos and apartments here in Southwest Florida, but you don't have to let the concrete on your lanai stop you from growing food for your table. And now a new wave of generational farmers is taking root, wanting to learn more about the basics of growing their own food.
What I'm focusing right now with my seeds is I want as much soil to seed contact as possible.
Like this group of FGCU Food Forest class students visiting the farm.
Through learning it, you can work with people in your community that are already familiar with growing things and build more community, and then obviously keep out of the grocery store a bit and grow really nutrient-dense food for your own family.
The main lesson we learn here, sometimes thinking smaller can lead to a big impact.
And it only takes one person to change the generational deficit of the knowledge of the food we eat. So if you're interested in improving your family's food livelihood, start small.
At Echo Farms, meteorologist Jocelyn Ferenc, ABC 7.
Thank you, Jocelyn. That was really
For the farm.
And now, this is what Echo Farms is one of the organizations so we at St. Michael's and All Angels have supported through our outreach funding. We have also supported Mission Pinel, which Sue will tell us about, which is supporting the farm workers. So these are all aspects of the sustainable food and agriculture movement that we at St. Michael's have been part of. And I'll turn it over now to Sue Sterritt.
Can I go up there?
Yes.
Because I want to be able to see the slides better.
Yes. All right.
Will that work for them?
I will try. If you want to hit me when to turn.
Okay.
Just tell me when.
I'll just give you a little.
Yeah. You want this?
Hi, everybody. So they asked me to talk a little bit about Mission Peniel, and our church has been very involved with Mission Peniel for Chuck and I moved here in 2017, and Ellen already had a connection, our previous director had a connection with Mission Peniel. We did epiphany drives for them, and she, I know, went down there and visited, but we got started. They have volunteers that come on Friday. And so my two goals are to show you about our connection to Mission Peniel and tell you a little bit about what it is, and also to tell you about an amazing program called the Fair Food Program that I just knew a little bit about from being at the mission, but in my research for talking today, I found out amazing things about this program. So brief, I know that there's something going on in the sky we're all anxious to get out for. So sustainability also includes the sustainability of the farmer. You know, the health of the farmer is an important part of sustainability. And the farm workers out in the fields have not had a very good life. Or horrendous life anyway. So Mission Peniel started in the 60s. It's actually a Presbyterian ministry. It's a mission of the Peace River Presbyterian. And in fact, I think to my knowledge, we're the only Episcopal church that goes. So, this is Miguel, who runs the mission, and he is a Presbyterian minister. He's from Guatemala. And you can see the people lined up here. On Fridays, over 400 people come to the window and they're given food. So it's a large program. Oh, we missed the one with all the bugs.
What's that?
Wasn't there another one in between?
There is one, and it says Immokalee is considered the total capital of the world.
Oh, I thought there was. Well,
all right, slide. That one is today. You want to look?
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. You're right. Okay, so Collier County, which is where Immokalee is just a little over an hour from us. When we drive here from the church, it takes us an hour and 15 minutes to get down to the mission. But they have 29,000 acres of tomatoes. It's 53% of the acres in the entire country that grow tomatoes are in Collier County, the county right below us. It's really pretty amazing. And so when it's prime season for tomato growing and tomato picking, there are 30,000 people who are out in the fields in this 29,000 acres. Okay. Here we are. So I wanted to let you see the people from St. Michael's that are involved. You can see Jerry and Linda there. And Kathy McCarthy with Paul on the other side. Nancy Garfield, Bill Van Loss, and Barbara, and Chuck and I. Now we also have our newest volunteer is Darlene over there. She went the last time we went. We usually only go about 4 times a year. They actually have a lot of churches that do come and volunteer. So all these bags that you see in front are the bags that we fill with produce, some of it from Echo Farms, that we distribute to the farm workers. So when we first get there at 2 o'clock, our first job is to fill those bags. And then there's a second bag that has things that they got from here in Chapin that they give to them. This is Mara Franz, Miguel's wife, and the two of them really pretty much run the mission. Now, one more thing about St. Michael's role. St. Michael's has supported them. The grants committee has for years given money to them. We've given money that started a music program for children there. We've given money that started Condivito, which is their version of Meals on Wheels.
Books. Giving out books.
And the books. I have a whole slide for them.
Okay.
Okay, so if you could go to the next slide. This is the backyard of Mission Peniel. So this is another nonprofit called Cultivate Abundance. And they have gardens all over Fort Myers. And they grow a lot of produce that we don't recognize that much of it but it's produce from their homeland. So they are very grateful for this produce. So some of the produce comes from there, some comes from Echo. It's very good. You should see the tomatoes, right, Barbara?
Yeah.
Lovely tomatoes. Okay, show the next picture. This is just a picture of the St. Michael's folks filling the bags with the produce. The produce is all lined up there in baskets, and there are other folks that are there every week that help us with that. Okay, next one.
Excuse me.
Yeah, those two people.
How long do you work when you do
And
that?
we officially were there from 2 to 6, and then there's an hour, travel. So it's a long day. The 3:30 to 6 or 6:30 is when the farm workers are actually coming, and their families. Lots of the little kids come to the window too. Okay, we know these folks. This is Father Bill and my husband Chuck standing. That's the point where the line starts. And so it starts, the program, the giveaways start at 3:30. When we get there at 2 o'clock, they're already standing in line, rain or shine. And this shows you, there's some books. There's another bookstore. But so outside, they come to a window to get the 2 bags that we give them, but we have tables outside. So for example, the Epiphany Drive was all about, this time here, went to them. That stuff will be out on tables for them, with somebody overseeing, everybody gets 1 pizza or whatever. And then that's Mara Franz and her cute little assistant making something that I bet is delicious for Condivita, which is their Meals on Wheels program. And that's a fairly new program because not everybody can come to get their food there. They have a Christmas toy distribution every year. So that picture is some of the happy kids getting their toys. wanted to include this slide because there's some people that come that weren't in that first slide. So Susie Wilson has been coming the last 3 or 4 times. And Wendy McGahey and her friend have come once or twice also. Okay, you'll like the next slide. So we have booked, the church actually, we bought, how many books did we buy?
500, a lot.
A lot of books.
Yeah, a lot.
Very specific. New books. Barnes & Noble gave us a discount. They were very carefully chosen to be culturally,
It's appropriate.
appropriate.
Yeah, no science fiction, but all beautiful books you'd like to have in your own home.
I think actually these books.
These are the ones that we got from the libraries.
School libraries, based on current Florida policy, were trying to figure out what books they needed to pull, and some of them just emptied their entire library, put them in boxes, and we got them. So, but Barbara is the book lady. She might be the bag lady here, but she's the book lady there. Okay, next slide. This is amazing. I don't know if anybody was here when Bishop Sharp spoke. Our new bishop gave a little talk, and he's new to Southwest Florida, right? So he said someone
Yeah, he's new back here. He grew up here, but he's new
That's
back
right.
in the diocese.
That there is a Episcopal cemetery in Immokalee. So sure enough, with Google's help, I could find this little cemetery. And so when we went 2 times ago, we actually had our little St. Michael's bus pulled up right in front of the Episcopal cemetery, and we got out. Jerry was fixing some of the headstones that had fallen over. But this is related to a mission. An Episcopal Bishop, William Crane Gray, came here in 1896, and it was a mission for the Seminole Indians. And actually the word Immokalee means my home. And you would think the Seminole Indians named it that, but actually the Episcopal Bishop changed the name to Immokalee, hoping the Seminole Indians would then come to him. So this was our visit to the cemetery, which is very small. There was a church attached to that, and as this record showed, there was it was called Christ Church. It was damaged by a hurricane in 1910 and was restored and was used until it was damaged in the 1926 hurricane, and then they never rebuilt. There is a little church there, but not related to us at all. So that's, this is, for this next little bit, I just want to tell you a little bit about the Coalition of Immokalee Workers and the Fair Food Program, because, as we talked about, the conditions for farm workers, and really for basic workers all over the world. Think about the garment workers in Pakistan. Life is very bad, including forced labor, sexual violence, very poor pay. But an amazing thing happened, and it started with this man, Lucas Benitez, and a couple of other people who wanted to bring the farm workers together to start talking about human rights and how they could improve their life a little bit. And the way he did it was to start a radio station. It's called Radio Conscienta, which means awareness, radio awareness. And so he would play the music that they're used to from back home. It was in their language so they could understand it, and he encouraged them to come once a week to a church, and they just gathered and talked. So this was in 1996 that it started, but over many years, they have been able to develop consumer awareness of their issues, and they pulled together a program called the Fair Food Program, which has been successful in ways it's hard to even imagine. Walmart, Taco Bell, McDonald's, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, all had signed on to be part of this program. And what the program does is they ask these people to pay $1 a pound, these companies to pay $1 a pound for the tomatoes that they get, and that money is used to run a program that has a third party that carries out audits and complaint investigations. So the farmers, the people out in the field who are actually collecting the tomatoes are educated about this program and what their rights are. And then there's a 24-hour hotline. So if a woman is accosted or someone is being forced to work, they have a place that they can contact that speaks 3 languages, so that whatever your language is, you can call. And then there's an independent investigation of that, a third-party audit of that. And in order for like a Walmart to be part of this program, they just, in addition to the penny a pound, they agreed to only buy from farms that also belong to this program. Pretty amazing. In 2014, the President of the United States gave them a Global Citizenship Award. In 2017, they got the MacArthur Genius Fellowship. Harvard Business Review said it's one of the 15 most important social impact stories of the past century. I like knew none of this really before I just knew there was something called the Fair Food Program. They also are being paid better. They were paid for over 20 years, 33 cents for every basket they would take up to the truck and turn in. The pay hadn't gone up in 20 years. So I believe my understanding is they're being paid minimum wage now. So, I mean, it's amazing to think about it. All this shows them, one of the auditing, they go out in the fields and talk to people to see how things are going. Okay. Oh, this is, so I am, if you can go to that last slide, that's the other turkey slide. That's Chuck's title. He said I had the right Sunday dinner up there. When you're in Immokalee, there are wild chickens, turkeys, roosters all over the place. It really makes you feel like you're in South America or something, you know. And that's one of my favorite parts, is seeing the roosters and hearing the roosters. So I think that's a really wonderful story to know that there's a success story. They just signed a contract with the country of Spain to take that model over and try to introduce it to the farms in Spain. And so, you know, it's one of those wicked problems that you feel like couldn't be solved. But you know, the base workers came up with this solution. It's a fabulous story. That's the end of what I had to say. Any questions? Thank you. Comments?
Yes.
I remember a couple of years ago, we were very upset about the Immokalee workers, and we went out there to look, and there'd be holes in the trailers where they were living, and there was no heat or cooling. I mean, it was awful conditions. And at that time, Publix was being asked if they would raise the price of tomatoes 1/2 cent that would, because it'd be a huge amount, it would add up to a sizable gift to give to the help out of Immokalee stuff. Publix said no.
They still don't participate in the program.
1/2 penny.
Nor does Wendy's, actually. They've been working on Wendy's real hard. I mean, they do a lot of it trying to get consumers to approach the companies. That's been a lot of the way they've gotten companies to start. But now the U.S. Labor Bureau is giving out grants to